YouTube, what's going on? Andrew Darling here, Mr. Darling 4. Today was Google I/O 2015. So we're going to go ahead and recap that. Here we go. First off was the Android M developer preview. So there's going to be a developer preview available for the Nexus 5, 6, and Nexus 9 of Android M, which we don't officially know the name yet, but a couple of folks over at, I believe it was iTech Triad, noticed that there was a milkshake on one of these smartwatches of the individuals. So I like milkshakes. Hopefully you like milkshakes as well. That'd be a pretty cool name for Android M. I mean, what do you guys think? So one of the big features was app linking. So if you have a link, in Twitter, or I'm sorry, a Twitter link in like a Gmail, when you click on that link, you're able to actually go straight to the Twitter app. I'm curious how that's going to work with third parties, how that's going to work with, for example, if you have a Twitter link, obviously Twitter is the verified holder of that link. So if you're using a third-party app, Falcon Pro, Phoenix, Hootsuite, any of the other third-party Twitter apps, I'm curious if they will be able to have that same verification, so they'll be able to open the link as well, or if it's going to be like everything else that's in Android right now, where you just select the preferred app that you want to open links of that nature. The biggest part about the Android M release was app permissions. So now every app, instead of being asked in the Play Store what a app can do, what permissions it can have, it's going to do it once you open that app. So the example that they gave was WhatsApp, when you wanted to record something and it needed access to your phone's microphone. So obviously when it needs that, there's going to be a little notification that pops up on the screen. It says, do you want WhatsApp to access the microphone? At that point, you just simply say, yes, you do. And there you go, it's done. And then you go into settings and you can actually go into app permissions, which to me actually look kind of similar to how iOS does it with permissions, to give you the opportunity to uncheck something that you may have allowed previously. So if you want to forbid Facebook Messenger from using photos, or I'm sorry, from using your camera, you can go back and do that at a later time. Say, for example, you know you're not going to be using it for a while. So that's a pretty cool feature. So the thing that was probably least impressive or important to me is Android Wear. Well, I know a lot of folks are jumping on the smartphone bandwagon. They're doing different things with what was Google Glass or what may or may not be left of it. But Android Wear is something that just really doesn't excite me. Having a watch is something that I just particularly I've never really enjoyed. So that's something that doesn't really interest me. Having the option to have notifications right in front of you on your wrist, I can respect that people want that. I'm not one of those people, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So some of the things that you can do with Android Wear on the smartwatch is you can actually draw images that are going to turn into emojis. Okay, that's kind of cool. I give them that. That's pretty cool. As well as you can actually use Google Now or OK Google to request an Uber ride. Not that I'm an Uber driver or anything, but that's kind of cool. And any way that allows for, a more seamless transition when requesting a ride or getting to Google Now, that's always a pretty cool thing. Speaking of Google Now, so they now have something called Google Now on Tap. And what that's going to do is it's basically Google Now on steroids. It's giving Google Now access to understand a lot more contextual information, such as, like I said, if you're returning a rental car and you're on your way to the airport, it's going to give you examples of gas stations that are on the way so that you can fill up with gas. There are a lot of really cool uses as far as if you've given a restaurant a review in a city where you don't live. Like, for example, I went to the Big Android Barbecue last October down in Dallas. I had a Whataburger for the first time. Pretty cool place. I think I gave him a positive review. If I did a review for him, something like that. Next time I'm in Dallas, I'll get a notification in Google Now to show me, hey, you really liked Whataburger when you were there. This is a place that you should go and go eat again. And things like that, as far as where your friends live, if you have that information stored in contacts, it can remind you to meet up with friends when you fly to a new city, stuff like that. Stuff that's actually really cool and really beneficial. I'm really, really looking forward to where Google Now is going over the next, 6 months, a year, 18 months. This whole contextual awareness is something that actually makes the smartphones smart. So it's something that I'm definitely excited about. It's something that's really cool to me, and that was another one of the big things at Google I/O this year. So Google announced Google Brillo, which really to me just sounded like Android at home from a couple years ago. It's a new base framework to allow smart devices to talk to each other. They also had something called Weave, which basically just integrates Brillo. It allows it to talk to the device and the cloud. So we'll see what happens with that. The big part, I guess you could say, other than the Android M preview, was Photos. So Photos is getting an entirely new revamp. I'm really excited about that. So I was talking to the guys over at Tech Dissected pretty much throughout Google I/O this year, and Cliff has been excited about that the whole time. That's all he was waiting for. I'm really excited about it. I use Dropbox. I actually use OneDrive as well, and Flickr, just because it's free to back up photos. Bringing them back to Google and not counting towards my Google Drive space. So you get up to 16 megapixels and up to 1080p video. You're going to store unlimited for free. So that's a big deal. I have a boatload of images. What's a boatload to me? Somewhere in the 80 gigabyte range. So I'm going to need to figure out a way to put those back on Google. But I'm sure there'll be a tutorial for that at some point during the day-to-day. They also mentioned something pretty cool, YouTube offline. So it actually gives you the opportunity to store a video offline, and this may have only been for a few select countries. You can store the video for 48 hours, watch it whether you have a connection or you don't have a connection, and that was kind of a really smooth segue into the last thing they talked about that really caught my eye. They got into Google Maps and turn-by-turn navigation having offline access. So this is a huge deal. I actually just wrote an entire piece for Tech Dissected that should be live here shortly. I'll put the link below in the description. And just how the offline process of maps as well as having offline turn-by-turn navigations is a big deal. It's not just a big deal for those of us in pretty developed countries, but it's a big deal for those in developing countries. So keep in mind, maps and turn-by-turn navigation is not just driving. There's also walking, there's also transportation, bicycle. There's a lot of things in map. There's a search feature that I think is just absolutely critical if you get off of your route. Saving actual trips is a little bit trickier than just saving the map of a specific city. So I actually give you the instructions there as well, how to save maps for the specific city. I'm going to do a separate video for that as well, and I'll include kind of a screencast of that while I do it. They didn't announce a new phone, which a lot of us thought they were going to announce 2 of them, but it's probably a little bit early in the year for that. As far as for the next Nexus, they did not announce a Chromecast 2, which admittedly I was pretty excited about. So we'll see where that goes. I'm looking forward to the rest of this Google I/O coverage over the next couple days, and we'll see what happens with that. But that was my kind of day one overview of Google I/O 2015. So what did you guys think of the event? Did you have a chance to watch it? Are you going to catch the full thing later on? Are you going to go back and watch the whole Google I/O keynote? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. We'll talk to you soon. Hopefully we'll get a couple more videos up, as I've been kind of slacking in May. Some real world stuff has happened, so I've been busy. But I actually have the G4 in the house tomorrow, so I'll start doing a battery of stuff with that. YouTube, I look forward to talking to you. What are your thoughts? Google I/O. How was it? What did you think? Talk to you soon.